there are lots of ways to homeschool while you have a baby or a newborn. It isn't impossible. Mothers have been doing it for a long, long time, and it's not impossible. Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's Christine. If you're new here, welcome. It's so wonderful to have you. I hope you stick around. I hope you subscribe. I am a mama to 3 little ones. I share parenting content, and I also more recently share homeschooling content because that is quite a big part of our lives at the moment. So, and probably will be for several years to come. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Like I said, I'd love to have you here. It really is wonderful. So today I'm going to be talking to you about tips for homeschooling when you have a baby. Yeah, today has been a very Monday, like the Mondayest Monday morning I've had in a really long time. My kids are everyone's just sort of poking at each other, and like we had quite a few chats this morning about being peacemakers and what that means and what it looks like. Don't know that any of it's getting through yet, but we'll keep working on it, and hopefully the day will keep going up instead of backwards. The sun is shining, so that's a big blessing, and I'm going to be able to dry my laundry out on the line. Anyway, totally off topic. Let's talk about homeschooling with a baby, because it is something that a lot of homeschool mums have to do. It's just reality. You have older children and you have younger children, and whether you have children close in age or far in age, oftentimes you end up having to homeschool with either a toddler or a baby in tow. And it can be tricky, like I'm not going to lie. There are some days where it is really hard. We started homeschooling sort of mid last year when my youngest would have been like 6 or 7 months old probably. And there were days where it was just really, really hard because she just was not happy. She wanted to be held. And even when she was being held, she was crying because she was teething. You know, there were just times when it was difficult. But I have learned ways to work around it, and just some tips that I'm going to share with you. So there is a blog post that goes along with this, which I will link in the description below. And there'll be more tips in there that I'm going to talk about than I will have in this video. So it'll be wise for you to go ahead and check that out. It'll just be helpful. Plus, I've got like a freebie on my blog and stuff like that. So if you're a homeschooling mama, you might really enjoy it and find stuff that's helpful for you. So like I said, linked in the description below. Anyway, first tip is to schedule your day. And I don't mean like a rigid, we're not going to move from this kind of schedule, but it is just wise to look at your day as a whole and be like, when can we fit school in where it's going to work the most easily with the baby? Because when you have a baby, you're kind of going to work around them the best. And personally, I've always been a firm believer in like routines, and that babies really thrive on routines. And so it's been quite easy for us to schedule in school based around the baby, because I know what she'll be doing at specific times of the day, give or take a little bit, you know. I would also say to then use nap times. So for us, my daughter is now 16 months old. So my kids are, Jack will be 5 next month. Then there's Annie, who's 3.5, and Charlotte, who's 16 months. And Charlotte still naps in the morning. And so that is a prime time for us to do schoolwork. She naps from 9 till 10:30 in the morning. And when I have Jack, who is really just in kindergarten, he is only doing school for like an hour per day. And so it fits really, really perfectly. In his nap time, we can get through everything. And sometimes even if we start later, I'll do the work that I know would be more easily disrupted if there was a baby in the room while she's napping, and then we'll finish off later on. So I would say look at scheduling your day and then use nap times, because that really does make a big difference. If you have a newborn, they're probably going to be napping a whole lot more, so you'll have more time to do that, but they also might not nap quite as well as an older child who's like developed better sleeping habits, etc., etc. My next tip is to work on independent playtime, and this is more for older babies than it is like newborns and younger ones, but I have always been very intentional about teaching my children how to play on their own and be content in their own company, and I've done that from a young age. So probably around between 7 to 9 months I start with my babies. I just leave them in their room with toys that are appropriate, or in their crib when they're that young, with music playing, and then I set a timer, and when the timer goes off, I come back in, and that's when independent play is over. And gradually over time, I extend the amount of time I leave them in there until it works up to about an hour typically. And I still do that with my children now. Jack's nearly 5, and he'll do independent playtime some days, not all days. but some days we'll do it, and my 3.5-year-old does it as well. So it is a very, very helpful thing for the entire family. It's very beneficial to your child. I've got blog posts about it, and I've actually linked to those blog posts in the post that goes along with this video. So you'll find it all there, and like instructions on how to start it and the benefits of it and all that kind of stuff. My next tip is to be smart about the subjects that you do when your baby is occupied. So if you know there are things that you can do when the baby's in the room and it's not, I'm saying she because I have a girl, she's not going to be that disruptive, then save those for those times and focus on the subjects that you really need, like that quiet and one-on-one with your child. Do those while the baby's occupied. So just be smart in that kind of way. If you have a newborn or a cranky teething baby, get a carrier, a baby carrier, because the chances are they're going to want to be on you. And one of the best ways to be able to homeschool while also comforting your baby is to just baby wear. Another tip I have is to set up activities, and you can do this for like younger babies and older babies, and obviously toddlers as well. I'm going to have a post on my blog about this. I don't know if it'll be live yet when I launch this video, but if it is, I'll go ahead and link that in the description below, with just sensory play activities for babies and toddlers that are really helpful. They're easy to set up. My 3.5-year-old does a book from The Good and the Beautiful, their little pre-writing handwriting book, and I've laminated that for her, so that's what she works on when I am homeschooling my eldest. And the baby will often just play with toys, and sometimes I'll set up like a bunch of little containers with a tiny bit of water in them, and I'll put a towel down, and she'll just play in the kitchen, which is where we school, and that'll entertain her as well. So be creative. It doesn't have to be super fancy. It doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to get like speciality activity gear. It can be really, really basic, but that kind of stuff is a smart way to keep your baby entertained while you homeschool. Another tip is to feed them while you're homeschooling. So we homeschool in our dining room. That's like the only place we have to homeschool in our home. So I often, if we're just like at the tail end of finishing up our schoolwork, I will get the baby up from her nap and give her a snack and put her in her high chair. And she's more than happy to like listen in to what we're doing and just eat her snack there while we're working. So that works really, really well for us. As she's getting older, it is getting a lot easier. And once she drops this morning nap, I will transition her to doing independent playtime in the morning, so we can still get like the bulk of our work done while she's occupied. But there are lots of ways to homeschool while you have a baby or a newborn. It isn't impossible. Mothers have been doing it for a long, long time, and it's not impossible. You will be able to do it. It can be tricky. And I will just say that there are some times when you're going to just need to stop homeschooling and you're going to need to look after the baby. And that's okay. That's the beauty of homeschooling, because you can pick it up later, do it again tomorrow, whatever. The baby stage is very short in the scheme of things. Your homeschooling journey is going to extend a lot longer than the baby stage. And so, yeah, there's lots of flexibility there. So don't feel like you're failing if, you know, your baby needs you and you have to just be like, okay, school needs to go on hold. That's totally okay. You have permission to do that. Stop school, look after your baby, and then pick it up later. Like I said, there's going to be lots more tips in the blog post that I've linked to in the description, so go check that out. If you are a homeschooling mama with a baby or toddler, go ahead and leave me a comment letting me know a tip that you recommend for how you manage looking after a baby or a toddler while you're also homeschooling older children. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars,